The archaeological discoveries always remind you about the creative mind of our ancestors. Such discoveries are also a great chance to see the centuries of old objects. Here's the list of 10 most mysterious archaeological discoveries of all time. Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is entitled as the world's most mysterious manuscript ever. It was discovered in 1912 in northern Italy. The language, scribe, and author of the Voynich manuscript is still unknown. According to the archaeologists, many pages of this manuscript are missing, and 240 pages now remain. The drawings of the different herbal plants are the most interesting thing that are found in the Voynich manuscript. Until now, no one can match these drawings to any known plant species. It is believed that the Voynich manuscript was written in the 15th century. Apart from the herbal section, this mysterious manuscript also contains astronomical, biological, cosmological, and pharmaceutical sections. Mount Owen Moa. It was in the year 1986 when a group of archaeologists discovered a claw of a bird while digging down in a cave in New Zealand. The flesh and muscles are still attached to it. Later, the archaeologists confirmed that it is a foot of an extinct wingless bird, moa, which disappeared from Earth 2,000 years before. The wingless moa was a heavy bird which measured up to 12 feet in height and up to 250 kilograms in weight. Moas got hunted to extinction by early humans. The nasty claws of moa are kept in the Natural History Museum of New Zealand. Archaeologists found a 14,000-year-old mammoth. Experts in Mexico have stepped up work on the remains of a 14,000-year-old mammoth that archaeologists say could shed new light on primitive humans. The remains of the mammoth were found near the town of Tultepec in 2016 during piping work. Since then, experts have been working delicately to best preserve its fossilized bones. Preliminary investigations have reported that the woolly mammoth was about 25 years old, was 3.5 meters or 11.5 feet high, and 5 meters or 16.5 feet long. It is estimated to have weighed 6 tons. Experts hope the remains of the mammoth will be in good enough condition to be assembled and put on display. But after 14,000 years, the fragility of the bones requires precision. Archaeologists have claimed the discovery of the remains to be one of the most important in the country. Bronze Age stilled houses unearthed in East Anglican Fens. Archaeologists have revealed exceptionally well-preserved Bronze Age dwellings during a series of excavations throughout the year at Must Farm Quarry in the East Anglican Fens that is providing an extraordinary insight into domestic life 3,000 years ago. The settlement, dating to the end of the Bronze Age, 1200 to 800 BC, would have been home to several families who lived in a number of wooden houses on stilts above water. The settlement was destroyed by fire that caused the dwellings to collapse into the river, preserving the contents in situ. Mysterious Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines are the unusual formation of white lines that can be seen when you make a flight trip over the desert of southern Peru. It is one of the most popular UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the country. This ancient mysterious formation has shapes of trapezoids, rectangles, triangles, and swirls. By making close observations, you can also spot 70 animals, plant structures, and 300 geometrical shapes. The purpose of these lines are still unknown. Archaeologists estimated that the Nazca Lines were created by the Nazca Indians between 500 BC and 700 AD, so these ancient drawings have remained intact for 2,000 years. A large community of people believe that these lines were formed by aliens for following the right path. The City of Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis is probably the most mysterious archaeological discovery ever. Plato in 360 BC is one who put forward the first assumption of the city of Atlantis, which sank in the ocean. Researchers believe that a strong tsunami hit the city in the 10th millennium BC and sank Atlantis into the ocean. but the actual truth behind Atlantis is still unknown to archaeologists. The ancient stories claim that Atlantis was built by Poseidon, the god of the sea, which is bigger than today's Asia. The rich city is separated by water rings and land. Atlantis would have belonged somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. The researchers have failed to spot the actual location of the city up to this day. The size and deepness of the ocean itself is one which blocks scientists from easy discovery of Atlantis. Church and altar of Viking king Olaf Haraldsson. Olaf Haraldsson, later known as Saint Olaf, was king of Norway from 1015 to 1028, till his death in the Battle of Stiklestad. Archaeologists working on a site near Trondheim have unearthed the foundations of a wooden stave church and an altar where Olaf may have been enshrined immediately after being declared a saint. The discovery gives credibility to Norse saga accounts surrounding important events of that era. During its excavation, the archaeologists uncovered a small rectangular stone-built platform at the building's east end, which is probably the foundation for an altar. Probably the very same altar on which St. Olaf's coffin was placed in 1031. Mummified remains identified as Egyptian Queen Nefertari. A team of international archaeologists believe a pair of mummified legs on display in an Italian museum may belong to Egyptian Queen Nefertari, the favorite wife of the pharaoh Ramses II. As the favorite wife of the pharaoh Ramses II, Nefertari was provided with a beautifully decorated tomb in the Valley of the Queens, to which Professor Fletcher was recently given access. Although plundered in ancient times, the tomb, first excavated by Italian archaeologists in 1904, still contained objects which were sent to the Egyptian Museum in Turin. This included a pair of mummified legs, which could have been part of a later interment, as was often the case in other tombs in the region. Pharaonic boat burial uncovered in Abydos, Egypt. Penn Museum archaeologists excavating at the desert site of Abydos, Egypt, have discovered the remains of a subterranean pharaonic boat burial dating to the reign of Senwosret III. Of the original boat, most likely a pharaonic funerary boat built for the pharaoh Senwosret III, only a few planks remain. Inside the chamber, however, an unusual tableau survived the millennia. Incised on all four of the whitewashed plaster walls of the vaulted, elongated burial chamber, about 21 meters long and 4 meters wide, are drawings of more than 120 pharaonic watercraft. More than 145 pottery vessels, buried with their necks facing toward the entrance to the ceremonial boat burial, were also uncovered. The Roman shoe hoard of Vindolanda. 1,800 years ago, the Roman army built one of its smallest but most heavily defended forts at the site of Vindolanda, which is now a part of the Frontiers of the Roman Empire World Heritage Site. Once the war was over, the troops and their dependents pulled out of the fort, and anything that they could not carry with them on the march was tossed into the defensive ditches. In 2016, the Vindolanda archaeologists excavated the ditch and discovered an incredible time capsule of life and conflict. And amongst the debris were dog and cat skeletons, pottery, leather, and 421 Roman shoes.